Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy: How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is the MBTI personality type assessment of David Bowie. But before we dive into this topic, I would like to know who would be interested in an online meditation course. I want to offer that because it seems that, for most people, it is difficult to learn how to meditate. Myself, I've been meditating for the past 30 years daily for about 20 minutes. And so I know how to, convey the information in a way that makes it easier for most people to grasp, the subtleties about meditation. So if you do want to participate, I will please send an email at jmaceus@sexualhealthsite.info, and in the subject line you put the word meditation. So I'll put the information below, and so the cost will be $50 Canadian per person, and as soon as I get the information from you, I will send you the details. So if we look at the 16 MBTI personality types, they can be grouped into four main ones. The first ones are sensor judgers, the second sensor perceivers, the third intuitive thinkers, and the last one intuitive feelers. To me, David Bowie was a sensor perceiver, and I will explain why. I have some notes on screen so I don't miss anything. David Robert Jones, known professionally as David Bowie, was an English singer, songwriter, and actor. He was born on January the 8th, 1947 in London. He died on January the 10th, 2016 at the age of 69 of liver cancer. Bowie was acclaimed by critics and musicians, particularly for his innovative work during the 1970s. His career was marked by reinvention and visual presentation. He had a brother and two sisters. He developed an interest in music from an early age. He studied art, music, and design before embarking on a professional career as a musician in 1963 at the age of 16. He received a serious injury at school at the age of 15 when a friend punched him in the left eye during a fight over a girl. After a series of operations during a 4-month hospitalization, his doctors determined that the damage could not be fully repaired, and Bowie was left with a faulty depth of perception in that eye and a permanently dilated pupil. So that's why the eye looks like a different color. Now, in 1969, he released the album Space Oddity, and that was his first top 5 entry on the UK singles chart. He struggled for many years with a cocaine addiction and was a heavy smoker. After a period of experimentation, he re-emerged in 1972 during the glam rock era with his flamboyant and androgynous alter ego Ziggy Stardust. After an uneven commercial success in the late 1970s, Bowie had 3 number 1 hits. The 1980 single Ashes to Ashes, its album Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, and Under Pressure in 1981 was a collaboration with Queen. He achieved his greatest commercial success in the 1980s with Let's Dance. Between 1988 and 1992, he fronted the hard rock band Tin Machine before resuming his solo career in 1993. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Bowie continued to experiment with musical styles including industrial and jungle. He also continued acting, such as in Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, Labyrinth, The Last Temptation of Christ, and Prestige. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996. During his lifetime, his record sales, estimated at about 100 million records worldwide, made him one of the best-selling musicians of all time. In terms of his personal life, Bowie married his first wife, Mary Angela Barnett, in 1970. They had a son together who was born in 1971. David and Angie divorced in 1980, and the former received custody of their son. Bowie married Somali American model Iman in 1992, and they were really fond of each other. And it was, they were together until he passed away. They had one daughter together, Alexandra, in 2000. In terms of his activism, in 1980s and 1990s, Bowie's public statements shifted sharply towards anti-racism and anti-fascism. He also was involved in philanthropic and charitable efforts for HIV/AIDS research in Africa, as well as other humanitarian projects helping disadvantaged children in developing nations. A portion of the proceeds from the pay-per-view showing of Bowie's 50th birthday concert in 1997 was donated to the Save the Children charity. He died 2 days after both his 60th birthday and the release of his final album, Black Star. His net worth at death was around $230 million. If we look at David Bowie's life trajectory, it is typical of censor perceivers. And again, he was interested in the arts very early on in terms of acting, singing, dancing, songwriting, obviously. So this is someone who was naturally drawn to that, and he showed, an aptitude for it at an early age. And he started his career at 16 years old. So I think as soon as I don't know if he even finished, high school or soon thereafter, he didn't pursue, higher studies. And that is usually the case with censor perceivers because they're very much hands-on. And he did mention that in interviews that he had a short attention span. They have a really hard time, focusing on something long term if they're not passionate about it. So that's typical of censor perceivers. Now, the other aspect when it comes to David Bowie is that if you talk to other people who've known him very well, they say that he's very gentle and kind and soft. And that points to someone who's most likely right brain dominant. And since he is probably a censor perceiver, which means that if you look at his function stack, he probably has introverted feeling as his first or second function stack. So this is someone, in terms of their relationship being feminine and spontaneous, they put emphasis on authenticity. And that's very much when you think about someone who's an artist, they want to stand out, they want to be different. And with David Bowie, I mean, he was very much, in terms of the glam rock and the Ziggy Stardust and, very over the top costumes, that very much is in line with someone who wants to be unique. He didn't want to blend in with other people. But at the same time, with David Bowie, is that you can tell he's very much interested in just, the art itself. Yes, he had to become financially literate because for a period of time he realized that if he didn't really look into it, he could be broke as an artist. But it's not really what drives him. He wants to explore a number of different avenues. And even at some point, he was interested in painting as well. So he writes. So you'll see the curiosity when it comes to censor perceiver in general. But a person who is a censor perceiver is a feminine type, is that they will put emphasis on authenticity. So whatever they make, whatever they're involved with, they want to make sure that it's in line with their own values and their own morals. So you'll see that with someone like David Bowie. Now, whether or not David Bowie is an introvert or extrovert, I would lean more towards being an introvert. Actually, he did mention in some of his interviews that if somebody else could perform his songs, he would rather that. He doesn't feel energized by being the center of attention. And he's the type of person who likes his private life, although he's, very well known. So he's, obviously a legend at this point. But he's someone that you don't hear a lot about what goes on behind closed doors. And he very much prizes that. He was saying that his relationship with Iman, his second wife, was really something that brought him a lot of joy. Especially later on during his life, is that he did not put as much effort and energy into his career. He'd rather put more emphasis in his relationships, especially like with his daughter as well and his son. So you'll see that he enjoys doing the work and doing the craft, but not so much having to need recognition from others. And so you'll see that it's usually the case with people who are introverts. So, in other words, with David Bowie, which is kind of odd because when you think about the glam rock and Ziggy Stardust and all these characters that he created, you would say like this person doesn't actually want to have all this attention. This is actually what he said, and he created these alter egos because he was so uncomfortable being on stage, and someone told him like, why don't you create a character so that in other words he could express himself through them instead of being David Jones on stage. So, in other words, if based on this information, David Bowie is most likely an ISFP. So, and what's interesting because the ISFP is considered the artist. What is interesting with David Bowie is that he was able to maintain critical acclaim and also interest from the public for many years, from the 1970s up until his death in 2016. So that's a real feat, and he didn't seem that he was forcing it, like he was not trying to gain approval. He just enjoyed doing the craft, and also he did mention near the end of his life is that he had to cut down on his work because his relationships were more important than being commercially successful in terms of being an artist. So for all these reasons, I would say that ISFP is most likely David Bowie's MBTI personality type. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this MBTI personality type assessment by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to send me an email at jmaceus@sexualhealthsite.info and to put the word meditation in the subject line if you're interested in this online meditation course. It will last about an hour and a half and will cost $50 Canadian per person. And also click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.